Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good evening to all my group members. My name is Nurjana binti Jalani, EX03591, and this is my group members, Nur Aina Nadira Miki Samsudin and Tarani Ramesh. So today we will present assignment of accounting for Islamic financial transaction. Our group choose HSBC Amanah Malaysia Berhad for Islamic financial institution and Maybank Berhad as conventional Islam or conventional financial institution. Next. Okay, I will give introduction about HSBC Amanah and Maybank. Next. Okay, HSBC Amanah was founded by Thomas Sutherland and established in Malaysia since 1884 when their first office in Penang Island. In year 1994, the HSBC has introduced and offering the Islamic financial services in Malaysia. In 2004, the HSBC has introduced and launched the HSBC Amanah. HSBC Amanah is aiming to provide the Islamic banking services worldwide. HSBC Bank Malaysia Berhad was the first of foreign bank in Malaysia that has been awarded a license in setting up the Islamic banking subsidiary from the Bank Negara Malaysia (BNM) since November 2007. The HSBC Amanah is wholly owned by HSBC Bank Malaysia and become member of HSBC Group. Currently, the Chief Executive Officer, CEO of HSBC Amanah is Raja Amir Shah Raja Azwar, was effectively appointed on 24 May 2021. Next. Okay. Maybank, the Malayan banking Berhad, Maybank, was established in 1960 by Khoo Teck Puat, Malaysian business tycoon. Maybank is an operating of holding company which is providing investment and commercial banking and financial services. Maybank is the largest bank of asset in Malaysia and fourth largest bank in Southeast Asia. Maybank has a very stable and strong position in this kind of industry because it's operated in countries such as Singapore, Brunei, Indonesia, London, and become the first Malaysian bank that has been granted right in establish their branch in China. So currently, the CEO of Maybank is Datuk Seri Abdul Farid Alias, which has been appointed since 2013. So next, I will pass to my group members. Thank you.
Thank you, Nurjana. I will continue with the analysis of the underlying contract in the assets, liabilities, and equity in the Islamic financial institutions. The analysis of the underlying contract in the asset, liabilities, and equity in the HSBC Amanah Malaysia Berhad is conducted year by year, starting from 2018 until 2020. Based on the analysis, the result of the underlying Islamic financial contract that HSBC Amanah Malaysia Berhad used in their asset, liabilities, and equity can be obtained. Let's look on the first year, which is 2018. The year of 2018 presented that HSBC Amanah Malaysia Berhad used multiple underlying Islamic financial contract in their assets. Firstly, for the financial investment available for sale and financial investment at fair value through other comprehensive income, the HSBC Amanah used the Sukuk certificate. Sukuk is the Islamic financial certificate that has some similarity with the bond or securities in the conventional finance, which follow the Sharia compliance. Secondly, in the financing and advance, the HSBC Amanah used the commodity Murabahah and Bai Al-Ina for the sale-based contract, Ijarah and Ijarah Summa for the lease-based contract, diminishing Musyarakah and Ujrah for the equity-based contract. The financing and advance of HSBC also disclosed that the details of asset under management in respect of syndicate investment accounting and financing or investment agency account financing is based on wakalah principle, where HSBC Amanah solely or together with other financial institutions provide the funds while the assets are managed by the bank as the agent or wakil. Thirdly, the HSBC Amanah also use multiple underlying Islamic financial contract in the impact financing by contract as Tijarah Tuma Al-Bay or hire purchase, commodity murabahah cost plus, diminishing musyarakah, profit and loss sharing, Al-Inah, sell and buy back, and also ujrah, free base. Next, for the year of 2018, also presented that HSBC Amanah Malaysia Berhad used multiple underlying contract, Islamic financial contract in their liabilities. Firstly, the deposit of customer are categorized by the type of deposit at amortized cost in three ways, which is demand deposit, saving deposit, and term deposit. The HSBC Amanah use the demand deposit and saving deposit with card and wadiah. Meanwhile, the term deposit with commodity murabahah and card. Secondly, in the structured liability designed at fair value through profit and loss and other liabilities, the HSBC offer the wakalah with the commodity wa'ad and tawarruk. The HSBC Amanah also involved in the multi-currency sukuk program, and by the program, the bank issue its unsecured sukuk with 3 million by the following series of 5 years. Lastly, HSBC Amanah also used underlying Islamic contract in the subordinate commodity murabahah financing. The subordinate commodity murabahah financing comprised of two tranches. First tranche issue on 25 June 2014 and the second tranche issue on 30 June 2015. I will continue with the 2019 analysis. The 2019 presented that HSBC Amanah Malaysia Berhad used multiple underlying Islamic financial contract in their assets. Firstly, with the financial investment at fair value through other comprehensive income, the HSBC Amanah still use the Malaysian government Islamic sukuk. Secondly, in the financing and advance, the HSBC Amanah use the commodity murabahah and Al-Inah for the sale-based contract, Ijarah Tuma Al-Bay for the lease-based contract, diminishing musyarakah and ujrah for the equity-based contract. The financing and advance this also discuss the detail of asset under management. Still use the same wakalah principle. Thirdly, the HSBC Amanah also use the same underlying Islamic financial contract in impact financing by contract, same as 2018, such as Ijarah Tuma Al-Bay, commodity murabahah, diminishing musyarakah, by Al-Inah and ujrah. For the year 2019, also presented that for the deposit for customer are categorized by the type of deposit in three ways, same as the 2018, which is demand deposit, saving deposit, and term deposit. For the demand deposit, the HSBC Amanah use card, and saving deposit also use card. But however, for the term deposit, the HSBC Amanah use commodity murabahah and card. Secondly, in the structured liability designed as fair value through profit and loss, the HSBC Amanah use wakalah with commodity wa'ad and tawarruk, same as last year, and the HSBC Amanah also involved in multi-currency sukuk program. Lastly, the HSBC Amanah also use the same underlying contract in 2018 with the subordinate commodity murabahah financing with the two tranches which issue on 25 June 2014 and 30 June 2015. Let's move to the last year, which is 2020. 2020 presented that HSBC Amanah use the underlying contract in their assets. Firstly, in the financial investment at fair value through other comprehensive income, the HSBC Amanah still use the Malaysian government Islamic Sukuk same as 2018 and 2019. Secondly, for the financing and advance, the HSBC Amanah use commodity murabahah and buy Inah for the sale-based contract, Tuma Al-Bay for the lease-based contract, diminishing musyarakah and Ujrah for the EPT-based contract. The financing and advance also discuss the detail of asset under management, still use the same wakalah principle as 2018 and 2019. Thirdly, the HSBC Amanah also use the same impact financing by contract as in 2018 and 2019, such as Ijarah Tuma Al-Bay, Commodity Murabahah Diminishing Musyarakah, Al-Bayinah and Ujrah. Next, for the year of 2020, also presented that HSBC Amanah use the liability same as 2019. Firstly, the deposit for the customer are categorized by the same demand deposit, saving deposit, and term deposit, and use the card for demand deposit, card for saving deposit, and commodity murabahah and card for term deposit, same as 2019. HSBC Amanah also use the wakalah with commodity wa'ad and tawarruk for the fair value through profit and loss, same as the 2018 and 2019. The HSBC Amanah also involved in multi-currency sukuk program, and same as 2019 and 2018. Lastly, HSBC Amanah also used the same underlying contract as in 2018 and 19 in with the subordinate commodity murabahah financing. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Thank you, Ana Nadira. So I will continue how the non-compliance income in the Islamic financial institution being dealt with. Next. Okay, actually, the non-compliance income is the income which the institution generate or receive income from events that are not follow the compliance which stated in regulation Islamic financial contract. This Islamic financial institution is failed in certifying the operation with Sharia law, which will causing the non-compliance income. The Islamic financial institution should take some action like check either this non-compliant event will fall under FASIQ contract, which can be in ratifying and not all the event is void. Next. FASIQ contract is the contract which will fall into special classes that recognized by Hanafi school, by Hanafi jurists. This FASIQ contract is considered an intermediary or class in between sahih and batil. When the non-compliant event is ratified and event is valid, the generated income will be legitimate. So next, the non-compliance income upon risk confirmation by Sharia committee should report to BNM within the period which be set by BNM. And thus, this non-compliant income should be donated to the charitable organization or non-governmental organization, NGO, which have approval from the Bank Sharia Committee during the financial year as being practiced by HSBC Amanah also. So those non-compliance income should be considered for disposal to charitable organization. So next, I will pass to Tarani Ramesh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jana. Okay, now I will continue with the next slide for this presentation, which is analysis of financial ratios for Maybank Berhad and also HSBC Amanah Malaysia Berhad. Okay, next slide. Okay, now let's look at the liquidity ratio for Maybank Berhad. Under this liquidity ratio, there are two types of ratio, which is loan to deposit ratio and also loan to asset ratio. So this liquidity ratio is analyzed for the 3 years of this Maybank Berhad. For loan to deposit ratio, we have to get the total loans and divide it by the total deposits. So for 2018, the loan to deposit ratio is 21.4%. In 2019, it's 25.7%, and in 2020, it's 23.1%. The second, loan to asset ratio. In order to get this loan to asset ratio, we have to divide the total loans by total assets. So in 2018, we will get 3.9%, and in 2019, the loan to asset ratio is 5%, and in 2020, it's 4.4%. This is for Maybank Berhad. Okay, now, next, we will have a look on the liquidity ratio for HSBC Amanah Bank Berhad. Okay, in 2018, the loan to deposit ratio is 5%, and in 2019, it's 4%, and in 2020, it's 5% also. And the loan to asset ratio for 2018 is 2.9%, and for 2019, it's 2.8%, and in 2020, it's 3.1%. So this is the analysis for the liquidity ratio for the two types of bank, which is Maybank Berhad and it's also HSBC Amanah. And now, next slide. Let's look at the profitability ratio for Maybank Berhad. Okay, the first one is return on asset. In order to get the return on asset, we have to divide the net income by total assets. So in 2018, the ROA is 5.5%, and in 2019, it's 6.3%, and in 2020, it's 4.5%. Second, return on equity. We have to divide the net income by total equity. So in 2018, the ROE for Maybank Berhad is 6%. In 2018, it's 6.5%, and 2020, it's 6.2%. Okay, next. Okay, here is the profitability ratio for HSBC Amanah Berhad. Okay, in 2018, the ROA for HSBC is 2.7%. In 2019, it's 2.2%, and in 2020, it's 2%. And for the return on equity for 2018 is 25.3%. In 2019, it's 24.1%. And for 2020, the ROE is 18.5%. Next, okay, next look at the risk and solvency ratio for Maybank Berhad. Okay, in this ratio, we have three types of ratio. First is equity multiplier ratio. In 2018, equity multiplier ratio for Maybank is 10.7%. In 2019, it's 10.2%. And in 2020, it's 10.1%. And the second type of ratio is debt to total assets, which is total debt divided by the total assets. So for 2018, it's 3.17%. In 2019, it's 7.08%. And in 2020, it's 9.14%. Okay. And then this is another type of ratio under risk and solvency ratio, which is debt to total equity. In order to get this, we have to divide the total debt by its total equity. So for 2018, the debt to total equity is 3.4%. In 2019, it's 7.2%, and 2020, it's 9.6%. Next. Okay, this is the risk and solvency ratio for HSBC. We have three types of ratio also. First, equity multiplier for 2018, it's 11.2%. In 2019, it's 10.8%. And 2020, it's 9.1%. In debt to total assets, 2018, we got 1.33%. In 2019, it's 1.62%. And in 2020, it's 1.34%. Okay, this is the type of ratio for risk and solvency ratio, which is debt to total equity for HSBC Amanah. In 2018, it's 14.9%. In 2019, it's 17.4%, and 2020, it's 12.2%. Okay, this is the last efficiency ratio for this analysis for the financial ratio. So this efficiency ratio, we have three types of ratio. First, income to expense ratio, which it will be the income divided by the operating expenses. So for 2018, it's 2.3%. In 2019, it's 2%, and in 2020, it's 1.6%. And second one is operating efficiency, which is expenses divided by the operating income. For 2018, it's 47%. For 2019, it's 46%. And 2020, it's 45%. And the last one is asset utilization, which is the total operating income of the bank divided by the total assets. So for 2018, it's 4%. And 2019, it's 3.8%. And 2020, it's 4%. Okay, this efficiency ratio is for HSBC Amanah Bank Berhad. So in 2018, the income to expense ratio is 3.6%. 2019, it's 3.7%. And in 2020, it's 2.6%. Second, the operating efficiency ratio. For 2018, it's 23.1%. For 2019, it's 18.12%. And for 2020, it's 22.53%. And the last one for HSBC Amanah is asset utilization. In 2018, it's 1.04%. In 2019, it's 1.08%. And in 2020, it's 0.66%. Okay, based on the analysis of financial ratio, and here is the conclusion for these two types of bank. Okay. Okay, first for the liquidity ratio, based on the loan to deposit ratios of Maybank Berhad shows the higher percentage compared to the HSBC Amanah. And this shows that the high percentage of Maybank Berhad initiate that the bank may not have enough liquidity to cover fund requirement compared to the HSBC Amanah. And based on the loan to asset ratios also shows Maybank Berhad with higher percentage compared to the HSBC Amanah. And this shows that the high percentage of Maybank Berhad initiate that the bank have low liquidity and high risk for bank default. And the performance of HSBC Amanah is better compared to the Maybank Berhad in 2018 until 2020 for the liquidity ratio. And the second one is profitability ratio. So the comparison, the return on asset of the Maybank Berhad is better performance compared to the HSBC Amanah, and based on the return on equity ratios, the HSBC Amanah have a better performance compared to the Maybank. And therefore, based on profitability ratios, both banks performed well on 2018 until 2020. Next slide. Okay, now let's look at the risk and solvency ratio. Based on the equity multiplier, the Maybank Berhad has a better performance compared to the HSBC Amanah in 2020 until with 10.1% and 9.1% respectively. And based on the debt to total assets ratio, the HSBC have a better performance in 2020 compared to the Maybank with 1.34% and 9.14% respectively. And based on the debt to total equity ratios, the HSBC have a better performance in 2020 compared to the Maybank with 12.2% and 9.6% respectively. And the last one is efficiency ratio. Based on the income to expense ratio, the operating efficiency and asset utilization for the Maybank Berhad has a better performance compared to the HSBC Amanah for the year 2018, 2019, and also 2020. So in conclusion, the overall performance of the HSBC Amanah is better performed compared to the Maybank in terms of its liquidity, profitability, and risk and solvency. So that's all from us. Thank you, Dr.